Hello and welcome. My name is Mr. Cannell, and in this tutorial, we're looking at the work of Markus Studtmann. We'll be looking at a variety of different editing techniques, showcasing how it can create both an artist copy, like the one you see on the screen, but also explore the concept of symmetry based on Studtmann's work. Key thing in all these edits is to remember that you'll need some interesting architectural elements in your image. For traditional Studtmann work, you'll want a building's facade, that's the frontage, the front, and you'll want it face on, so it's nice and flat, no real perspective to the shot, as we'll be adding that later. For other edits that play off the idea of symmetry in the shot, you can actually incorporate a greater amount of depth into your photographs, and I'd recommend it as it makes the inspired edits far more interesting. So to start, I am going to recreate this traditional view of Markus Studtmann's work. To do that, I'm going to need a shot of the sky and the front part of a building, face on with as little perspective as possible. So front facade, just like this one. To start, double click and hit enter to confirm that you'll unlock the layer. Then go over to your Marquee Selection tool. That's the second one down on your toolbar, pressing M. And if you hold down the Shift key, you can create a square selection area. And that's what I'm going to do to help me get a nice, neat selection here. I'm selecting this area because if I look over here on my left, this column isn't complete, and I want them to I want my edges to line up as best I can. And the railings provide me with a good point of reference to work with. Once I'm happy with my selected area, I'm going to hold down Ctrl and J to duplicate my selection onto a separate layer, just like so. If I hide the bottom one, you'll see that I've selected that square. Nice and easy and simple. Then I need a bigger workspace. I'm going to go up to the image menu, select canvas size, change my units from pixels to percentage, and increase it quite large. I'm going to add an extra 500% on both sides. If I do this, I can then zoom out. And I've got quite a big area to work with. Pressing the V key to get my move selection tool up, I can move that image down slightly. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it by pressing Ctrl and J. I'm going to go to my edit menu, select transform and flip vertical, move that up, then select my first layer again, Ctrl J to duplicate it again, go to edit, transform and rotate 90 degrees clockwise. Move that out. With that layer selected, press Ctrl and J to duplicate it. And then go edit, transform, and this time flip horizontal. And then I'm just going to drag that across like so. Now I've got these 4 layers. If you've got your move tool selected, we can zoom in a bit. I'm just going to arrange these so that the corners line up like so. Now, whilst I'm zoomed out, I'm going to go back and use my ruler tool at the top there, making sure my my move tool is selected, or pressing V, and click and drag at the top rulers and just bring those in line with the edges of my work. And this is just to help me line up the perspective a little better. When they're lined up like this, what happens is, if we bring that close to the edge there, is I'll end up with the corners that I can use to help me play around with the perspective. Zooming in tighter, I'm going to just bring that out slightly, so it's in line a bit more. There we go. Right, with my top layer selected, so making sure my top layer is selected, going to go File, Edit, Transform, and select Perspective. I'm just going to drag these top vertices out to those corners that I now have. I'll zoom in a little bit tighter so I can get them bang on the corners if I need to, like so. That should be okay. Hit enter to confirm. And then just go round and do the same on the other sides. File, edit, transform, perspective. Just bring that one up so it's in line. You may have to play around with these. If we have a little look, we just confirm. That's not too bad. There's a little bit of warping there. I'm going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard just to nudge it up slightly, and that looks a bit better. Zoom back out, come down. Next layer is this side one. I'm going to press edit, transform, perspective, and grab that little vertices, pull it up. Looks like we've got it. Zoom in, holding the Alt key and scroll wheel. If I hold the space bar, I can click and drag. It looks like it might be lined up. Gonna hit enter. It's not too bad. I think I'm going to cut and crop this image slightly at that corner. I'd rather this work though. So I'm going to go Control Z to go back and try that again because I don't like what's happening down the bottom here. Transform, perspective, click and drag up. Spacebar to pull up so I can see what I'm doing. And pull that into that edge a bit more. You can see if that will work. Just nudge it up slightly with the arrow key. There we go. Happy with that. And finally, we'll go to this lower layer, edit, transform, perspective, and do the same thing there. Just pull that out to the edge. And try to get them to line up nicely. What you're looking for is making sure that the edges line up without any gaps like this one here. So for this, I might need to nudge it across slightly, up and across. That looks like lines line up relatively neatly. This side is not so great, so let's zoom out. Let's see how it looks down here. Just going to try nudging across. I think we might need to be a little bit cheeky. I'm going to press Ctrl and T to transform. I'm just going to gently pull this out ever so slightly. It's a bit of cheating, but it should give us just enough to play around with. Hit enter to confirm. And there we go. If we zoom out, that should be fairly difficult to see any changes. There we go. Nice, simple edit there. And what we're going to do is going to go back into our sky. Going to right click, select, right click on the layer, select duplicate layer, and in the dialog box that appears where it says document, I'm going to drop down and find my Markus Studtmann document. Press OK. Come back to my main edit, and that layer should be in there now. And with the V key, with the move tool, V on your keyboard, you can click and drag that into place. Control T to transform and resize it as we see fit, and position it how we want it. It's above our bottom section there, so in the layer panel, if we scroll down, we can see it's just above that layer copy, so we can just move it. And just like that, we've got ourselves our simple Markus Studtmann edit. And that completes the traditional Markus Studtmann edit in the style of Markus Studtmann. We could leave it there, and if we're going to do that, we'll want to go over to our toolbar and select the crop tool or press C on our keyboard. And I'm just going to come in a little bit tighter and just click and drag out a selected area there to get a nice crop. Hit enter to confirm. Then I want to maybe get rid of these guides. So go to view, clear guides, And there you go, one completed Markus Studtmann edit. If you join me for the other tutorials on Markus Studtmann, I'll show you how you can create an image that looks like it goes off into the distance to a vanishing point. I'll show you how we can add a little bit of a twirl to it, and I'll show you some simple development work, even more simple than what we've just done. So thank you very much and take care.